Hi, it's Rob Eames, relationship coach with Couples Focus, back again with another excerpt from the show Couples Therapy on Showtime to illustrate relationship principles and skills and how I do relationship coaching. And the show is so invaluable because it has real couples with real issues talking openly and honestly on film, and so it gives us a valuable resource to draw upon. And so here we're going to be talking about, do we really want to marry a mind reader? And without saying anything more about that, we'll watch the quick excerpt. It's only a few seconds long, and then I'll come back to say a few things about it. Okay, here we go.
I could get her to do whatever I want. That's not what I want. What I want is for her to do whatever I want without me having to make it happen. To just, I want to get a glass of water before I ask, and it's there waiting.
So, I don't know about you, but the first time I watched this, I was really in shock. I couldn't believe that he was asking his partner to know what he wants all the time, even before he asks for it. And that may seem far-fetched, but in reality, in many long-term committed relationships, it's more common than we might like to admit. And so I'll invite you right now to just check in and say, have there been times in your recent memory when you've wanted your partner, if you're in a relationship now, to meet your needs without you having to ask them and without you having to tell them how they would contribute to that need being met? I think the answer probably is yes for most of us. And let me just say that that is unreasonable and unfair. So as common as it is unreasonable to think that our partners will know what we need without us telling them what we need and how they can contribute to that need getting met. And the other thing is, it's tragic because partners want to meet each other's needs. They're in long-term, committed, caring relationships because they want to make their partner's lives more wonderful. If only they knew what would do that for their partner. And that can only happen through communication, through asking, through making requests. And so let's unpack that a little bit. So why would we not ask for what we want if it's that simple? If we have a partner who wants to meet our needs and we can just say, hey, here's what would contribute to my needs getting met. I have three things I'd like to offer as to why, from my experience in relationship coaching, that I've seen that. One is that the person may not have fluency in connecting to themselves and understanding what their needs are. So that takes skill, it takes practice. It's one of the relationship skills that I work on with people. Being able to check in and say, what am I needing right now? So if I don't know what I'm needing right now, then I can't ask for it. So that's the first reason. The second one is that it can be scary asking for what you want. In our culture, there's a lot of stress on independence, and there's also this sense of disappointment, which disappointment can be a really uncomfortable feeling. And so most of us are afraid of feeling disappointment. And so it's much more comfortable not to ask than to ask and put that vulnerability out there with the potential that our partner may not be ready or available or willing to meet that need or contribute to that need. That's another relationship skill that I work on with couples and individuals, is the management of that fear and the courage to manage the potential disappointment and to have an openness to outcomes that it would be unreasonable to think that our partner is always willing and available to meet our needs. But it's also tragic not to ask for them anyway, because otherwise, a lot of our needs could be contributed to if only we were to ask. There's an opportunity cost there. So just to recap, the person may not know what their needs are. There might be fear for asking for them. And the third thing is that in long-term committed relationships, there's this unreasonable expectation that our partner should just know if they understood and knew us. And so we have this real longing and human desire to be known and understood. And it's perfectly reasonable and rational, part of the human package, part of the reason why intimate relationships are so satisfying and also sometimes frustrating is that we want to be known. And we think that our partners, if they knew us, they would know what we need. They would know what to do. And that's just tragic because it's not the case. They may know us. They may have some experiences, but they may not know what we're needing in that moment. They may not know what our true need is. They may not know what we're feeling. They may not know what would land with us in a way in that particular moment. So, they may miss, or they may take a guess and it not land the way that they think, or they may be not able to act just because they don't know what to do. And so it's not based upon some lack of understanding or knowledge or willingness to try to understand. It's just because it's impossible to even if we know someone to a certain level of intimacy, to predict what they might need in a particular point in time. And so there's this expectation that I want to be known, and if you knew me, then why wouldn't you know exactly what I need all the time? But that's just not true, not reasonable. So those are the 3 reasons, and leave you with one last thing, which is that making requests, asking for what we want in relationships is a gift. It's really where a lot of the intimacy happens. It's where vulnerability happens, where we can really be known, and where we can really show that we feel comfortable with the other person and that we want them to contribute to our happiness. And that's really where a lot of the work happens. And a recent example to make that concrete is I was working with a couple recently where one partner was asking the other partner consistently for what they called support. Why won't you support me? Why couldn't you be more supportive in this situation? And what I helped them with is, and what I helped that partner with, is that support is vague, it's general, it's up here, it's at the need level. And contributing to things like support or trust or understanding or respect, those things get reinforced by repeated circumstances, repeated actions. So it's really at the activity level, that's where the request needs to happen. So again and again, asking what would feel supportive. So in this particular couple, what would feel supportive in that moment? What would feel supportive in that moment? And that's the request, that's the ask. Asking, I want to feel supported, I want you to support me, it's tragic, and it's going to create misunderstanding and opportunities for just missing each other. Oh, you weren't supportive then. I didn't feel supported. That's at the experience level. Asking for support is too vague, too high level. It's a need, but then what would feel supportive? We need to ask our partner for, would you hold my hand while I cry? Would you please give me an embrace and rub my back for 10 seconds? That would feel really supportive. Would you please just sit here and be with me this afternoon? That would feel really supportive. Could you do that? Would you be willing to do that? Are you available to do that? That's where the request needs to happen, at that level of specificity. And so what happens when we make requests at too high of a level and we expect our partners to read our minds and fill in the details is that the natural next step would be to judge and criticize. Oh, I knew that you wouldn't do it. And that's a way of protecting myself, protecting that disappointment, the fear of disappointment, because, oh, I knew you wouldn't do it anyway. And then less requests, less asks, judgment of our partner, and that's where, negative images of our partner happen and resentment builds and things like that. And so these requests are just super important, getting to the level of detail, making sure they're positive and in the present tense, making sure they are requests and not demands, there's no threat associated with them, and there's an openness to outcomes. And those are the kind of skills that I often work on in my relationship coaching. So hopefully this was helpful in a number of ways. One is to see a real couple with a real issue, for me to talk about my experience, and to get to the root of why couples sometimes miss each other, and why we don't ask for what we want, and why we sometimes have the unreasonable expectation that our partner will be a mind reader. And we really don't want a mind reader. That would be creepy. It'd be weird. Part of the joy and juice of being in a relationship is the constant dialogue and back and forth to say, here's what I'm needing now. Here's what it's like to be me. What's it like to be you? What would contribute to your needs right now? And so hopefully this is helpful. If it is helpful, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. That would let me know that you appreciated this video, and also it would guarantee that you get the next ones when they're made available. Okay, and if I can be helpful directly in any way, please go to couplesfocus.com to learn more about me, to connect with me there, and also there's a link to request an initial free consultation if you'd like to explore things with me directly. Okay, see you next time.